Thursday had 4 games, but we got injury updates, we got injuries in game, we got big performances, we got weird performances, we got double diamond, onyx, platinum, titanium level performances from Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I live in a former Pizza Hut. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Also, check out LockedOnDaily.com for a newsletter on your favorite team, the best newsletter for your favorite team, LockedOnDaily.com, and double bang these videos, Operation 90K. We're going to do the annexation of Canada when we get to 90K, so Canadians, don't worry, I'm coming to save you from yourselves. Let's hit that 90K mark. 4 games, like I said, and like you probably already know, on Thursday. Well, let's just get in and cover a little bit of news that we need to get stuck into immediately here. And we did get the injury news on Luka Doncic after Jason Kidd, of course, lied to us. Why wouldn't he? He's a coach. That's what they do. Luka's wrist is fine. He's okay. He's all ready to go. He's actually going to be missing at least a week, so we're talking 4 to 5 games here at least here for Luka. Talked about it a few times earlier today. I think Quentin Grimes is going to start. I think Jaden Hardy probably needs Kyrie out as well to be a must-add player, and I think it's going to be one of those messy scenarios where it's Grimes or it's Marshall or it's Dinwiddie or it's Hardy. I probably will lean Grimes, but I don't think that I'm super strong on that as a must-roster scenario. We did get the Nikola Jokic update, and at least it's an update. Like it says, he's questionable. That's what we know at this point. He's questionable for Friday. They got a Friday, Saturday, back-to-back Denver. Hopefully he's okay to go. If he doesn't, we just go back in and stream a Dario Saric and Russell Westbrook in that scenario. The good news in Sacramento is both Domantas Sabonis and DeMar DeRozan are not on the injury report, so they're returning from their respective back issues. We'll see what that means for Keon Ellis and Kevin Huerter. We'll see if it means that Keegan Murray can do more than take 3 shots. And Malik Monk remains out, but his return is coming really soon. And then in New Orleans, we've got some updates. Both Jordan Hawkins and Brandon Ingram are questionable. CJ McCollum is not returning. He is doubtful, but Hawkins and Ingram might be back. So your Reeves and Payton ads, streams may not do anything. Now, of course, if Hawkins and Ingram are ruled out, then we go back to Payton, we go back to Reeves, we go back to Boston. But if Hawkins and Ingram both play, I still look at Boston as an option. Old BJ, but I don't know about Reeves, or I don't know about Payton or Kane or Green or Robinson Earl being anything interesting at all. Anthony Simons has missed the last week with an illness, and now he pops up on the injury report for Friday, questionable with a hand injury. He was dealing with a hand injury before the illness, and from memory, when he had that issue with the breathing stuff, I think one of the initial reports said, he's grabbing his hand a bit weird. But then it was, of course, shortness of breath or whatever it is. So, I don't know, is the tank just fully on there already? DeAndre Ayton's doubtful again with his finger issue. Simons and Scoot are both questionable. I don't know. I'm just here providing the news. Let's take a look at the waiver wire. Who's been trending in, who's been trending up, who's been trending down, who's been added, who's been dropped. I think you know how that works. The most added player over the last 48 hours is, of course, Mr. Black. Anthony Black has put together 2 really good games in a row. I'm not going to spoil what he did in the game versus the Lakers right now. And spoiler alert, that's because that game hasn't started when I'm recording this part. So I'll talk about that part later on. But it made sense to add him. He's playing today. Good form. We'll see where it goes. Delano Banton, also not a bad ad. You'll see a lot of Blazers on this list. Delano Banton, Denny Avdia, and Tubani Kamara are all on this list. They've got a nice little schedule chunk coming up. Plus, if Scoot and Simons are both out, Banton's going to actually go crazy. And that will mean more for Avdia and Kamara as well. So all that's sort of a hedge, I guess, against the Scoot and or Simons' potential absences. Dalton Connect still third on the most added list. We'll also talk about his performance later on. Game hasn't started. Made sense to add him. I added him in a lot of spots. Not convinced it's going to last long term, but that's okay. And there's going to be someone that chimes in, man, always, Josh, Lakers hater. You're always a Lakers hater. Of course you have to say that. You just hate the Lakers. You hate the Lakers. Yeah. Good. Yep, you're right. And Keldon Johnson, one of the most added players as well. That's because the Spurs played today. We don't need to get excited about Keldon Johnson, I think, relatively clearly. But with Wembanyama out and Devin Vassell out, it does give extra opportunities for him, and that's really the only sort of situation in which the old horse can thrive. Who's been dropped? Pat Williams. He's out for a week with that foot issue again. He'd already turned to shit before that, so yeah, see you later, my guy. Off you go. Moussa Diabate, one of the most dropped players over the last 48 hours, and then today, out of nowhere, Miles Bridges is out. Moussa Diabate starts the first half, not the second half, and posts an absolutely huge line. That's okay. If you dropped him, it makes a lot of sense. We also got an update on Vince Williams Jr., who came back, played like 2 games from the stress reaction in his shin, sprained his ankle, and he's got a grade 3 ankle sprain. Now, those of you with PTSD, just turn it off. Turn off the audio if you want. Don't look at the subtitles. Because remember last season, Desmond Bane had a grade 3 ankle sprain, and then we spent 4 weeks going, who's lying here? Is Bane actually coming back? Because you're telling us he's back in 2 weeks. And a grade 3, 6 to 8, maybe 12. And they've done it again. Do they not know what grade 3 means? They said Vince Williams, grade 3 ankle sprain. That's bad. That's 2 to 3 months. Reevaluated in 4 weeks. Okay? So again, do you not know what grade 3 is? Do you have super miracle healing powers? Or, I don't know, as I just quickly look at the injury lists from this season and last season, maybe your medical staff not quite on top of what it needs to be? No offense to those guys, but like, stop it with this stuff. A grade 3 ankle sprain is 2 months. Reevaluating in 4 weeks, what does that tell me? You're going to go in there and go, yeah, still screwed. Drop Vince Williams. And what this does mean, though, is the big fella, Jake LaRavia, value up. Value up for Jake LaRavia, worth having. Kyle Filipowski was dropped, and then he dropped out of the game today with an ankle sprain. BJ Boston was dropped. That's okay, because we can make those preemptive get-ahead moves as guys start to return. Totally okay. He might have some value still tomorrow, but it's not going to be for long. And then Karis LeVert. Dracarys is dealing with those injuries and not playing, and the value's not enough. It's not enough, I don't think, to hold through the foolishness. We're going to come back and we're going to cover Thursday's games. And then at the end of the show, of course, what we're going to do, we're going to give lines of the night and all of that great stuff. But today's episode is brought to you by Chime. There comes a time in everybody's life where you got to be serious about money. You've got to take control of your finances. You could do that with a Chime checking account. The old no maintenance fees, the fee-free overdraft, up to $200. You get paid early by 2 days with direct deposit. Go to chime.com/NBA, figure it out, and check it out. Chime is a financial institution with a sense of community. They've got over 50,000 fee-free ATMs plus the Spot Me program. It's friends giving friends a boost. Eligible members get that complimentary boost to temporarily increase a friend's Spot Me limit. So you set up a direct deposit in your Chime account. After a qualifying direct deposit of $200, Chime notifies you to enroll in Spot Me. With an activated debit card, Chime will spot you up to $200 when you exceed your balance, and your next direct deposit is applied to your negative balance. Chime never charges fees or interest for using Spot Me. Make your fall finances a little greener by working towards your financial goals with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/NBA. Chime.com/NBA. Chime, it feels like progress. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank NA or Stride Bank NA. Do I say NA or North America? I'm just going to say NA. Members FDIC. Spot Me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Events, tickets. What an absolutely perfect match. You got a perfect match. Yeah, that's what Game Time brings. It doesn't sit there and show you a million tickets so you get confused and bamboozled and hoodwinked and led astray. It cuts the fluff. Game Time Picks shows you the best options for tickets to your favorite sporting event, to see your favorite sporting team. You don't have to sit there and be bewildered by all the different options. They're just presented to you. Plus, views from your seat. Plus, all-in pricing toggled on in the app to show you the full cost straight up. The amount of features this thing has got is out of control. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, legends. Let's move in. Let's talk the first game. It is an overtime. Detroit and Charlotte game. Huge lead from Charlotte. Detroit brings it back, but in the end, they can't get it done and they lose in OT 123-121. Charlotte pulls out that victory. Let's start with Detroit. We'll start with Cade Cunningham, who played 37 minutes, but you might be fooled a bit there because he didn't play in overtime. He suffered a really hard fall at the end of the game, right onto the tip of the old coccyx, and yeah, didn't look great. But he thinks he's okay, just obviously a lot of pain. Didn't play in the overtime, but was 27, 7, and 10 before that. Took 26 shots and didn't hit him very well, but decent enough free throws, 7 of 9, and just continues to rack up big numbers. Tobias Harris also racked up big numbers. 26 and 8 with 6 threes and a steal on 63%. And that's the sort of thing we've waited a little bit of time here for Toby to do. I think Hogsman delivered. I tell you who didn't deliver? The passport legend, Jalen Duren. It's year 3. Before I completely write players off, I like to give 3 seasons, and I'm not writing him off at all. But maybe he sucks. Maybe. I know he's still young. There's a lot of talent there, but he's lost all of the time. He's lost. When you're getting outplayed by Isaiah Stewart consistently, there's alarm bells, man. I'm not saying to drop Durham, but I'm also reserving the right to tell you to drop him really soon because he's just bad. 5 points, 9 rebounds, 1 steal, 67%. It's a troubling little development here with Duren. Of course, when I say bad, I don't mean that Jalen Duren's a bad player. He's a very good basketball player. He would cook me at any point, and any other person in the world. But in the context of being an NBA starter, he's getting outplayed by an undersized 6'9" center who was a power forward who went back to being a center on Isaiah Stewart. So in that context, he's not very good. But I do understand that he's a very, very good player, and he's still really young and has got ability to be much better than this. But he's bad in the context that we're talking. Terms and conditions apply. So yeah, I understand all those things regarding Duren. Doesn't change the fact that he's struggling. As for Stewart, I don't think that he's going to take the job anytime soon. I don't think that Stewart is a must roster in 12s, but 13 and 9, 3 assists and 2 blocks and 100% shooting is bloody good. And if you're in 14-team leagues, you use that. Leaky Beasley outperformed Tim Hardaway again. Another stinking night from Hardaway. I don't know if he's still dealing with head trauma from that game where he got smacked in the head and it was really scary. He came back and I think he's hit 15% of his shots since then. He's been really poor. Well, Beasley had 16 points, 4 threes, and 6 rebounds. Now, Beasley only shot 33%, but the volume is going towards Leaky at the moment. So if you're looking for a points and threes guy, go him over Hardaway at the moment. Jaden Ivey fouled out. That's why he only played 24 minutes. I'm not going to tell you he was good before that. 27% and then 67 from the line is terrible. 11, 4, and 5 with 2 steals, but he got the steals, and that's good. Keep an eye on old mate Wendell Moore because I don't really know why or sort of what's happened here. He's sort of buried and disappeared and sort of not anywhere when we talked about this team at all. And the last couple of games, he's starting to just pay attention. And those of you in the old double onyx, platinum diamond, titanium leagues, Wendell Moore just doing something. And if Cade Cunningham has to miss some time, you just pay a little bit of attention. 7, 7, and 4 at 111. Part of the appeal of Wendell Moore Jr. coming out of college, out of Duke, this is year 3 for him. He's got his rookie option declined already. Was that he was like a sort of slow, not really sure about the shooting, but a wing who sort of functions almost as a point guard, almost like destitute man's Kyle Anderson. So you get the 4 assists here. It's just, I'll tell you, the last 2 weeks, not many games, but per game, 146th. So the double onyxes, have a look, yeah? I don't know that he holds it. I think when Asar Thompson comes back, that's probably going to kill anything for Moore. But if Cade does miss, then yeah, that's a sneaky one. That's a sneaky one. The other one to look at would be Marcus Sasser, although I don't think that he is all that much, to be honest. But if he gets opportunity, we're always looking for guys to get opportunity. On the Charlotte side of things, Miles Bridges out with knee soreness. Is that the knee that he hyperextended and then they foolishly put him back into the game and then he was supposed to be out for a period of time, then he came back too early from and now it's sore again? Or am I thinking of a different Miles Bridges with a knee problem? I'm not sure. You'll have to remind me. I don't know. Anyway, Bridges is out with knee soreness. So they started Moussa Diabate. I referenced it earlier. He didn't start the second half, but he did start the first half. And what an insanely stupid-looking line. He took 2 shots in 32 minutes, sorry. He had 1 point. But he had 16 rebounds and 3 steals. Somewhere in the world, Reggie Evans is stroking his beard, holding a glass of cognac, and going, yeah, all he needs to do is kick some dicks, and then then my legacy lives on. I don't think that Diabate is a must-grab or must-roster guy or anything like that, but it was an interesting game. I think we can jack Trey Mann.
Get that garbage out of here.
Yeah. I buried the lead. LaMelo Ball benched last game for, conflict with the coach or the coach benching, whatever, however you want to phrase it, right? Great response, especially considering he had 3 fouls in the first quarter. He did end up fouling out, but played 33 minutes. He had 35, 6, and 9 with 4 threes, took 27 shots. Great response. Also, an incredible game from Brandon Miller. 38 and 7, 8 threes, 4 assists, 4 steals, and a block. And massive sell high. Massive sell high. Couple of reasons. He didn't even take a single free throw here, but he shot 67% on threes. He got 4 steals. He took 26 shots and shot 58% and played 42 minutes in an overtime game. That's 2 really big ones in a row. But it's always about exploring or listening or seeing. Like, there are people who are massive. Oh, Paul George. He's Paul George. Well, he's not Paul George now because people hate Paul George now. But maybe when Paul George was good, Paul George is still good. But maybe when people thought Paul George was good, that's who they think Brandon Miller is. So this is great. But honestly, we were like 3 weeks ago where people said, man, what's wrong with this guy? What do I do? He's terrible. He also had a quick little injury locker room trip, but returned pretty quickly. It's a great run from Brandon Miller. I would look to see if there's any capitalization and make appropriate accommodations. Joshy Green had 10, 3, and 5 with 3 threes, which is better than usual, but still not enough to care. And Grant Williams had 12 points. He had a 1-1. If I've got Grant in a 12, I will probably I'll probably still hold on to him. He's not the highest upside guy, as I'm sure you're well aware, because we've seen Grant Williams before. Let's go to the next one. We're talking about my Toronto Raptors. That's the wrong button. I meant to actually hit this button, which is the Wolves and the Raptors. Minnesota takes the dreaded trip through customs into the Great White North and loses 110-105 to Toronto. Michael Conley was out with the toe issue, so they started Nickeil Alexander-Walker. It didn't go particularly well for Nickeil back in his home country, home city. 6 points, 2 steals, 17% shooting for Alexander-Walker. Which is okay. That's okay. It's not like it's not a disaster, but it's definitely not good. But if you added Alexander Walker, you knew why you were doing it. You were doing it to get some steals, and because Conley was out, there was an opportunity. And then if it doesn't work, which it didn't, you move on. Goose had 26 points. Anthony Edwards, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 5 threes. Very strong game. But we do have to talk about this, and I think I mentioned it, I'm going to say about a week ago, that Jaden McDaniels was doing enough that we had to grab him. It's locked in now. I don't know that he sticks with this, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't. But 22 and 7, he played 42 minutes, he hit 2 threes, he had 2 steals. It's a different Jaden McDaniels the last 2 weeks. That's a must-roster player for now. Gobert was just sort of Gobert, 13, 11, 2 blocks. Randall was Randall with 23 and 9, but he actually added 2 steals and 16 free throw attempts. Some might say that's a few too many. And unfortunately, he only hit 75%, which is not a bad number, but when you're below average on that much volume, it does hurt a little bit in fantasy. But I want to talk about probably the 2 big question marks on this team. The big Ragu, Dante DiVincenzo. 30 minutes, 11 points. He did have 3 steals. He did hit 3 threes, but shot 33% from the field and continues to just be really quite bad. He's 169th over the last 2 weeks. He's 168th for the season. Is there any actual improvement going on here? It doesn't seem like it. If you're in a 10-teamer...
Get that garbage out of here!
And I'll be very cautious with this. If you're in a 12-team league... I think you're okay to drop him. Now, you don't have to. When I give a jack signal, when the jack signal goes off, that doesn't mean you got to go and drop him. It just means that, I don't know that we have to hold.
Get that garbage out of here!
One of the key things that I said, and you know what I'm going to say about DiVincenzo in the offseason, is it's bloody hard as a 7th man to have 12-team value. And he's a 7th man. This one, there was still no Conley, and he still didn't do it. The other one we've got to talk about is Naz Reid. Or, as some, might say, Minnesota Bobby Portis. He had 2 points in 22 minutes, he had 4 rebounds, he shot 13%, and he hurt his knee at the end of the game and didn't return. The amount of glazing, fluffing, frosting, standing, what other stupid word can I use to describe Naz Reid that goes on with this guy? Why is his PR so good? I've usually been on an island about, yeah, he's fine, but he's not that good. And I usually get shouted down. There's just something about him that people make him to be better. He's actually a better defender than Gobert. He was way better through the playoffs. So much better against Jokic. It's just unbelievable. Oh, yeah, they need to sort of bench Randall and just start reading Gobert. I don't know where all... And it's not isolated. It's everywhere. Now, this is a bad stretch from Reid. Absolutely. He's 165th over the last 2 weeks. He started out the season shooting, true shooting of like 80% for 2 weeks, and his numbers are way up. And he's just sort of sitting there as a nothing at the moment. I'm not saying to drop Naz Reid. I'm not saying that he's a bad player. But I'm also saying maybe it's time, if you had this sky-high opinion of Naz, to maybe look at it and reassess where you're at. Because sometimes those preconceived notions, and I'm guilty of it, might hamstring you from making a necessary call when it comes to it. So if this keeps going, he's this crap for the next 3 weeks, you're not holding that. But if you've got this idea that he's better than everyone else, he's actually a top 50 player in waiting, then you won't do it. And you might just sit there with a steamer sitting on your bench, taking up space. So, yeah, that is how I look at that. My man Scott Barnes returned for Toronto, straight back into the starting lineup with a minutes restriction. And they didn't bench Ochai Agbaji. They benched Davion Mitchell, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think it mattered because both Davion and Agbaji took hits and both do not need to be 12-team rosterable players. Agbaji had 4 points with 0 rebounds in 27 minutes and Mitchell had 3 points in 27 minutes, but he did have 8 assists. That's not enough. That's not enough. You can move on from Mitchell if you're streaming in, and I think you're okay with moving on from Agbaji.
Get that garbage out of here.
As for Barnesy, 17, 3 and 6 with 2 threes, good return in those 27 minutes, and Rowan Barrett. Fantastic. He struggled early on in the season. There were people that were talking about dropping him, which was never the right decision. 35 minutes, 31 and 7 with 3 steals on 71%. It's also one of those ones where it doesn't always happen this way, right? But people will see this, and often we try and create a reason or create a narrative as to why something happened. So you might say, well, with Barnes back, there's less pressure on Barrett. Someone facilitating at a better level, therefore he's able to have this higher field goal percentage, and now we're rolling and the efficiency is going to be up. And the problem with that is he shot 75% last game when Barnes was out. So while it happened, he had a very good shooting night here, and I'm not even suggesting that Barnes won't make things easier on him, because he probably will by meaning that he's not the only guy that creates his own shot. That's true. But this game is not solely, like his last game was better, RJ Barrett, than this one. And this is with Barnes here. So it's always just really cautious. I know I'm harping on about game logs this season. It's a really important thing. Just go back and look at game logs. If you go, man, look at Barnes. Barnes is back. It's ready to go. Just look at the last game. Oh, yeah, actually did it without Barnes. Like, okay. So I guess that theory can't be proved true. Also remember, just because it can't be proved true doesn't mean that it's proved false. Awesome. I've got Barrett in a lot of leagues, and I'm very happy with this little turn in form. The wiki Chris Boucher was really good. He's actually been pretty solid, but this is probably his best game. 22 points in 26 minutes for Boucher, 3 threes, 2 steals, and a block. It does help that Olynyk is out and Bruno Fernando is out. I wouldn't rush to grab him, but for the short term, he's on your stream board to someone to have a crack at. And it's time to talk sad news. It's time to be a little bit concerned or disappointed. Because there comes a time in every fantasy basketball player, maybe every person's life, maybe every young man's life, where it's time to put down the dick.
Get that garbage out of here.
Maybe you don't need to be holding on to dick as much as you are. We're all grown-ups now. Maybe we just can use dick a little bit more sparingly. Maybe we don't need it there every day. Because with Barnes back and with Barrett playing, Dick had 9 points. Grady had 6 rebounds. He did have 2 steals. And he is back outside the top 100 for the season. He's 111th in points leagues. He's 175th over the last 2 weeks. And it's not getting better when Quickly returns. You don't have to drop Dick. You don't. You can keep holding him, but it is worth mentioning. We've got a little bit of extra time in today's show just to explain concepts more, not even concepts, but ideas and flesh them out. That you had the worry, what happens when Barrett and Barnes and Quickly return? We'll see. We'll just keep riding Dick for now. We love what we're extracting here. It's really good numbers. Then we'll see. And then Barrett will come back. Okay, it's a little bit, still not bad. But it's fallen off. He was a volume points and threes guy. The volume's gone. The other stuff's not there. And I do think that in the end, it's just not going to be worth it to have Grady on your team. You can definitely hold. Absolutely no problem with it. Right? It's okay. But it is moving pretty quickly in that trajectory. Jakob Poeltl didn't keep up the 30-point scoring, but I'm not sure you worry that much. 15 and 12. You'd like a little bit more defensively, but still overall a very good game from big Jakob Poeltl. We've got 2 more games that we're going to talk about, plus all the lines of the night. But today's episode, it is brought to you by Robinhood Gold. With Robinhood Gold, you do not need a silver spoon to eat up all the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks that are usually reserved for high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Okay, let's go on to the next game of the day. It is the third game of the day, and it is the San Antonio Spurs, the Wemby-less San Antonio Spurs. They hosted the Utah Jazz, which of course was happening in San Antonio. The Spurs win at 126-118 as your final score here. We'll start with the Jazz side of things. There was still no Walker Kessler, and then as I referenced earlier, Kyle Filipowski had to leave early. He had 4 and 9 on 17%. If he hurt his ankle, maybe he misses time. I think there's a chance of that. I would be moving on.
Get that garbage out of here.
Doesn't mean that we're adding Cody Williams, who went scoreless. And then their other rookie from this class, look at the rookies from this class, Filipowski, Williams, Collier. We went 1 of 6 for Filipowski, 0 of 2 for Williams, and 1 of 8 for Collier. That's disgusting. I think Collier can turn into a pretty good point guard, but he's actually a worse shooter somehow than Keontae George. George, again, 33% is terrible. But good second half last time out. Volume, minutes, still there. That's a formula that we have more patience in. 19, 2, and 5 with 3 threes for the speaker, while out of absolutely nowhere. Bryce Sensabaugh had 18 points. And we got hot very early on, so Will Hardy kept it going. 18 and 6 with 4 threes. What Bryce Sensabaugh is a scorer. That is what he was at Ohio State, and that is what he can be. But it's just not consistent enough. Johnny Collins, speaking of consistent, this man just keeps absolutely rolling. Just had no idea that this was going to be something that was happening. Absolutely whiffed on it massively. We'll see what happens later on in the year, but at the moment, he's continuing to cook. And now that Filipowski's hurt and Kessler's hurt, he's going to keep doing it. Markkanen had 27 and 4 with 3 threes there. And then for deeper leagues, if you're in the deeper league, the old Drew Eubanks is going to have to play. 4 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks, because Collins will play at center, but someone has to play the 4 as well. So yeah, I'd expect more Eubanks, and in 16 teamers, you want to just cast your eye a little bit that direction. Not really much more going on, I don't think, with that Utah team, but we can now go across to the San Antonio Spurs, who were without, once again, Victor Wembanyama, Jeremy Sohan, and Devin Vassell, but the ultimate double onyx, platinum, diamond, titanium waiver stream. Goldfinger, Charlie Bassey. 27 minutes, 11 and 8, 6 blocks. Zach Collins, pretty good as well. 18 and 5 for Zach. He had 5 fouls, so that limited him. But both of these guys are 12-team streamable on days that Wembanyama is out. Bassey has always been this guy in terms of per-minute production. And he's doing it again now. Is he a must-roster player? A few diamond guys. You had him since before he was even in college, I'm sure. But everyone else, I don't know that you need to grab onto it, because when Wemby plays, he just won't do anything. But there's just enough there with Bassey that if we get any sort of inkling about Wemby being out, or if you just want to take the flyer and see what happens, and I guess you're betting against Wemby not playing the next game, and that's okay if you want to do that. I didn't think that I'd have to be doing this again, but the pencil, Harrison Barnes. Barnesy! This is it. This is it. This is his streak. This is his good run. 25 and 10 with 4 threes. 62% shooting. 5 of 6 from the line. Couldn't care less. I mean, stream him by all means. You want an active player who streams on a four-game day, like that's okay. But don't get fooled. Maybe he's rediscovering. No, he's not. But Buble, not Michael Champagny, that's Julian Champagny, actually. Another solid line. And with Vassell out and with Sohan out, he maintains 12-team value. He's a good player. 14, 3, and 6 with 3 steals and 2 threes. Long term, he's not going to get there. But that's okay. And it was also a very good game from Stephon Castle. Castle played 35 minutes. He had 18, 3, and 6, 40% shooting. Now, I say all these games. Big game from Bassie. Big game from Barnes. Big game from Castle. Big game from Champagne. And it is all true. Big game from Chris Paul. 13, 5, and 10. But it is worth remembering. They played the Jazz, who are dreadful. So it is a little bit easier across the board to do things when your opponent's bad. But good performances all around. And while players are out, you stream Barnes and Bassie and Champagny and Castle and Collins. The Horse wasn't able to get it done as much. Keldon Johnson, 12, 8, and 4, which is still alright, but he still remains streamable, while 11 points for Trey Jones, while the Malachi Branham had 3 points in his 8 minutes. And I think that probably covers all the San Antonio Spurs stuff. Game of the day. It was our Orlando Magic. They get the win over the LA Lakers. The Lakers were up most of the game, and then it comes down, and the big fella, Franz Wagner, cooks, and he wins. And they win 119-118. There was no Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. There was no Paulo Banchero. There was no Wendell Carter Jr., and they didn't use Mr. Black in the starting lineup. It was Gary Harris who replaced Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Big Gaz played 26 minutes. He had 11 points with 3 threes, and I've never seen a more Gary Harris line than that, and we don't need to do anything with it. What we do need to do is check in on Anthony Black and see if he's able to keep... Oh, no. Oh, yeah, maybe not. 4 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists on 25%. The old game log was fantastic here, because we said the last 2 games, amazing. The 2 before, putrid. This one, not very good. The 5 assists help, but he has so many of these ups and downs that you wanted to have a crack. We got the 3 games in 4 nights. If you added Anthony Black, hold for today, maybe wait for Saturday. But overall, these are the problems. We need more of this consistency. We need to see him 27 a night. We need to see none of these garbage games coming out that often. That turns him from a streamer into a rosterable 12-teamer. At the moment, he's like a 14, probably 16-team must. And then those other things come with more consistency. Let's talk positive, because Franz Wagner cooked again. This guy's been unbelievable. First round player over the last 2 weeks. 37, 6, and 11. 4 steals, 4 threes, 50% shooting, 26 attempts. I know I banged on and on and on about this guy in the preseason and talked about the false or misleading narratives around him. I actually don't think I ended up even drafting him anywhere. These are crazy things that he's doing. It is a sell high, yeah, but you're not getting a first rounder back. You might not get a second. Maybe you just hold it. I don't know. I did have him on the sell high show the other day, and I did say that you can look into it, but it's just ridiculous what he's doing. He's so good at the moment. And what we also got is finally a very good Jalen Suggs game. 40 minutes, 23 points, 5 threes, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. That is the Suggs experience that we want. We want more Suggs like that. And with no Wendell Carter Jr., another Goga night. 7 and 15, a steal and a block. Goga continues to just provide value until Wendell comes back, and then Wendell comes back, you see what happens, and you move from there. And the other guy, consistent stream legend, Flaming Mo Wagner, he was good as well. This is what he does. 19 points, 18 minutes, high efficiency. John Isaac, yeah, that's not enough, is it? We need 22 or 23, so he didn't get it, and he had 1 block, so move on, while Tristan De Silva had 12 points in 32 minutes. One of Tristan's better games, to be honest, and I still continue to be frustrated and annoyed to see Cole Anthony just rotting on the bench here. For the Lakers, they trotted out the same lineup. We'll just talk about the big names first. LeBron had 31, 10, and 7. He continues to be ridiculous. Anthony Davis had 39 and 9 with 3 blocks. He's ridiculous. But what about Dalton Connect, who played the most minutes on this team? Okay. What do you think of this game? What's your initial impression of Dalton Connect's performance here? Because I think it's fine. But it highlights the problems. And I'm not someone who was against going and adding Dalton Connect before even that explosion game the other day, because I added him. But he played 39 minutes and he had 17, 4, and 1. He doesn't do enough in rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. You are reliant on usage, minutes, and very good shooting, and he still shot really well. And it's not a bad line, and I'm not saying go drop Dalton Connect. I won't drop him after this. But he does have a limited overall fantasy profile as a general rule. Part of the problem here, I think, with Connect getting fed so much is that Austin Reeves is sort of just doesn't know what to do. 9 points on 25% for Reeves, 33 minutes. I would throw a buy low at Austin, who's outside the top 120 over the last 2 weeks and was playing really well before this Connect insertion. And they've almost, to a degree, Mike Browned it, where it's like, well, Connect's hot, we just got to feed him the ball. Just got to get him as much as possible, got to play him so much. And I don't think Connect's good enough to demand that sort of focus. So we'll see if they go away from it. I believe they will. And then we can move on from Connect, if that is what ends up happening. But for now, we hold. It's actually, don't get me wrong, it is not a bad game from Connect. It's pretty good. But it's a more realistic representation of what he does or what he brings. Reddish continues to start, and he hit 2 threes. That's sick. Like, what the hell was that? And then no defense. We don't worry about that. And we are awfully close, man. In fact, I'm going to do it just so you know that it's out there. You don't have to do it, but D'Lo.
Get that garbage out of here.
7 points in 23 minutes for D'Angelo Russell. The 6 assists are good, but he's not playing enough. I will try. I will hold if I can. But if I'm in desperation stakes, it's like, man, he's like bad on my roster, and for some stupid reason I say Hartenstein's on my waiver wire. And you'll say, Josh, that's not true. I've got at least 5 questions today about picking up Hartenstein. So it is true for some of you. Russell's expendable in those sort of scenarios. It feels like it's just going to move to a full-time expendable situation. But yeah, I'd like to see what happens when Rui returns and what decisions they make. We'll see. Should we do a monstrous? We should. The monstrous line of the night, it goes to... It was close, actually. It didn't go to Franz Wagner. We end up going with Brandon Miller, who had 38, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 8 threes, 4 steals, and 1 block. He's also, of course, because he's in a second-year player, he's not in a second-year player. He is a second-year player. I don't know what he's doing in his spare time. He is also your young gun of the night, your waiver wire line of the night, the best player that is rostered, just not really very much at all. That's an unscientific description of it. But our waiver wire player of the day is Goldfinger, Charlie Bassey. 11 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 blocks for Bassey, who is a streamable guy when Victor Wembanyama is out. And then the dud of the night. I know he did get hurt, but it was at the very end of the game, and he played a regular allotment of minutes. But it's PR fan club legend Naz Reid. 2 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. He's not as good as you think he is. He's probably better than I think he is. And we hold him for now, barely. Top 6 fantasy players of the day. I've already given away who number 1 and number 2 are. That's okay. I'm not. It's not a huge state secret or anything like that. Number 1 was Brandon Miller, followed by Franz Wagner, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, LaMelo Ball, and Rowan Barrett Jr. Your top 6 waiver wire players. Number 1 is Charles Bassey, followed by the pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. Cody Martin, who's putting together some 14-team league sort of performances. Double Onyx, Diamond, Platinum, Titanium, Legend, Wendell Moore Jr. The Wiki, Chris Boucher, who's like a 14-team guy for the time being. And then Bryce Sensible, literally out of nowhere. I don't think we need to worry too much about Bryce. But if Filipowski is out, Lowry probably plays a little bit more at the 4, meaning opening minutes at the 3. And I'll tell you who doesn't seem to want to do anything when he's got the ball when he's on the court. That's Cody Williams. So maybe maybe Bryce Sensible's got a little bit of deep league appeal just in that situation. Your top 6 Yahoo Points League players is actually the exact same for ESPN points. It's Franz Wagner, Brandon Miller, Anthony Davis, LaMelo Ball, LeBron James, and RJ Barrett. And because I created the graphic, I'll put the ESPN list up there as well because it is literally the same. Wagner, Miller, Davis, Ball, LeBron, and old mate Rowan Barrett. Now, I thought I'd do something a little bit different to end the show, and I'll try and do this every day, but this little template that I created is giving me some real headaches in terms of programming, but that's okay. I wanted to cover the guys who got injured today, just so you've got an idea of who actually did get hurt today. So Cade Cunningham hurt his tailbone. If he misses, Ivy will do more, but Wendell Moore and Marcus Sasser will probably find larger roles in the rotation, maybe a bit more of Hardaway and Ron Holland, but they're the interesting players. Naz Reid, if he is out, Luka Garza will be the backup center, and maybe they go to Josh Minot a little bit, but I think you'll get Garza as maybe a stream guy there. Rob Dillingham hurt his ankle. He's barely a rotation player anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much about that one. And the last one is Kyle Filipowski. And if Filipowski is out, Drew Eubanks is going to take the backup center minutes, and he could become very useful. What if if Kessler's not back and Filipowski's out, maybe it's actually Eubanks and Collins that starts, although that would mean they have no center. But Eubanks is going to see a rise in minutes in that sort of situation. And that's the end. Thursday's show done, dusted, in the books. I think you know what you can do now. You can give me a thumb and you can double bang and you can comment and all that sort of stuff. And again, we're going to end the show with positivity. It's the end of the week for me. It's Friday afternoon here. Bit late in the day. Yeah, I do some good things. Yeah, I created that injury graphic for the show and just thought of a new segment to put in there. I'm happy with that. I'm proud of that. I hope you did something good. You did do something good. I know you did something good. Be proud of yourself. Someone is proud of you. And if you did do something good today, and I know you did, I'm proud of you too. Let's keep the positive vibes going. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.